present the nicest review of them all? Hmm, that's easy. Jamain Hatton, the recap. Hi guys, welcome to another edition of the recap. You're with me, Jamain Hatton, and today we're looking at the exciting poem Mirror by Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath was born on the 27th day of October. Coincidentally, not coincidentally, we are doing this poem to celebrate the life of Sylvia Plath. Today is the 27th day of October. She would have been celebrating her birthday today. Sylvia Plath is an American poet. She's also a novelist as well. She is a short story writer. Sylvia Plath died at the age of 31, I think. Yes, 31. And she suffered quite deeply or dearly at the hands of depression. It was so severe that she even had to do a therapy called electroconvulsive um, therapy. I think that is where they use electric currents to actually try and control your moods and all of that. Yeah, it was severe. So why exactly was she so depressed? She was fairly young and all. She had two children. Well, she had two children at the time, but recently at the well, I would think, and many persons point to it, the fact that she separated with her husband or separated from her husband in 1962 was the point that her life changed and she couldn't come back from that depression, and she ended her life. She ended her life in February of 63. I think it was February 11th of 1963. And yeah, that is very depressing, I know. But beautifully, she has gifted the world with wonderful poems, like we would see in the poem here, Mirror, today. Mirror tells us really how much we are going to age and whether or not we like it. It is going to happen, it's going to come, and we must accept it when it comes. And we will see just how the poet in this one um, accepted that. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much more of that. So the poem was read beautifully by my friend Sherice Antoinette Blair from Jamaica. I needed a woman's voice to actually bring out the meaning and the essence of this beautiful poem, and my friend Sherice willingly offered to do it. So thank you very much, Sherice. Thank you and wonderful job. So go ahead and you will see a link in the description there as well to Sherice Blair's website. She's doing an excellent job and on reviewing everything English A and B on her website. She's even doing extensive work on the SBA, the English SBA. So you can go ahead and check all of that out there and get into supporting people who are actually supporting you or trying to help you. All right, good.
Mirror by Sylvia Plath. I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately, just as it is, unmissed by love or dislike. I am not cruel, only truthful. The eye of a little god four cornered. Most of the time, I meditate on the opposite wall. It is pink with speckles. I've looked at it so long I think it is a part of my heart. But it flickers. Faces and darkness separates us over and over. Now I am a lake. A woman bends over me, searching my reaches for what she really is. Then she turns to those liars, the candles or the moon. I see her back and reflect it faithfully. She rewards me with tears and an aggression of hands. I am important to her. She comes and goes. Each morning it is her face that replaces the darkness. In me she has drowned a young girl, and in me an old woman rises towards her day after day, like a terrible fish.
So we're talking about the poem Mirror. I can't tell you the last time I've seen a poem that has such an interesting narrator. The persona really is the mirror. It's actually a mirror in a woman's bathroom. As you can see, it is quite evident that the mirror is actually doing the talking here. So if the mirror is doing a talking, or the mirror is the persona, therefore the mirror is being personified. Alright, what does that mean? It means an example, the entire poem is an example of personification where human qualities are given to non-human. Alright, so the mirror obviously is non-human, and the qualities of human beings are given to the mirror. So the mirror starts by saying, I am silver and exact. Let's go back a little bit. The title Mirror. Had there not been a title and the naming of it as Mirror, we would not have guessed what the actual poem was actually about. We wouldn't have known who the speaker was. So the title Mirror is very important, and it's very interesting to note that Sylvia actually is going to hint to us and tell us we are talking about a mirror, and that's the only thing that gives us the idea that this poem here is actually about a reflection, and in the reflection the mirror is actually doing some talking. Let's go into it now. I am silver and exact. What does that tell us? It tells us, and it goes on to the next sentence, I have no preconceptions. So the poem starts with a validation. It's like how I started this review with a validation when I asked the mirror on the wall who has the nicest review of them all. The mirror said me. I actually was trying to hint to what the poem is about. The poem here is about a starts with a validation. The mirror is validating not only itself, but it's validating the image that the person sees. All right, that's important. We'll come back to that a little bit. I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. What does that tell us? It tells us that whatever the mirror sees, that is what the mirror displays, and it is not biased based on anything. It is not biased based on any idea that came before or any event that came before. All right, some of us might be biased. Let's say, for example, somebody comes and gives me $100. Hint, hint. Somebody comes to give me $100, and in a few weeks' time, I have to make a decision between one person and somebody else. And coincidentally, the person that gave me the $100 previously is a person being picked, or being debated upon. Obviously, I'm going to pick the person that gave me the $100 because it was some preconception. All right. So the person was nice to me in the past. So I'm going to try to be nice to the person here. So that giving you the idea there of what the preconception is about. So the mirror is saying, I am silver. I am exact. I have no preconception. I am going to display to you exactly what I am seeing. I will swallow immediately. Good, that is the same thing there. Just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. So the saying that the mirror is going to display what it's shown, and what it displays is not impacted by human emotions. And I want you to underline that. It is not impacted by human emotions. And that is very, very important, because if we are to give the quality of humans, and like the example I just gave you, you can see that my idea of a good person would be a person who was good to me. And that the mirror there is saying it is not blinded by human emotions, love or dislike. Are we following? I hope so. You can take your notes. You take your notes as you're going through this. Take your notes, take your jottings, and then when you're done, recap what you have written and try and understand. And while you're showering, while you're preparing to go to school, try and recap what is going on in the entire poem. All right. So we're going into the fourth line here. I am not cruel, only truthful. That is a very interesting line. I'll go to the lecture there. I'm not cruel, but truthful. The truth sometimes is harsh. The truth sometimes is cruel, right? But the mirror is saying it is not mean. It simply reflects what it sees. It says it's truthful. It's going to be telling you exactly what is going on with your face or with your appearance. The eye of a little god. Again, we see another validation here. The poet, the persona here, the mirror, is saying he is or she is a god. And I probably should say it is a god. It is a god. So it's validating himself here, itself here, and it's giving us the idea that he is rightful. I don't know why I'm stuck on this pronoun. He is rightful in his validation because he is a god. Four cornered. So the mirror obviously has four corners, and then it says, most of the time I meditate on the opposite wall. Okay, so there's trying to show you where this mirror is placed. The mirror is placed on a wall, and opposite that mirror is another wall, and we can see that kind of set up in a bathroom or in a bedroom or whatever you might want to say. And that there is saying the opposite wall is pink and speckles pink, hint that it's a woman's bedroom or a girl's bedroom. I have looked at it so long, it's telling us that that mirror has been there for a while. I think it is part of my heart. So it says the mirror has a heart. Again, personification. But it flickers. It flickers. Faces and darkness separate us over and over. What does that tell us? Faces and darkness. Time and time again, we see new faces coming in on this mirror, or faces being presented to this mirror. And when there is no face, there is darkness. There's a face, darkness, face, dark. It's as though nothing else happens to this mirror on this bathroom or this bedroom wall other than seeing faces and seeing lights turned off, darkness. Here we have the second stanza going on to say, now I am a lake. So what is this eye? The eye is, they're talking about a reflection. All right, I am a lake. So it means that the mirror is now in the idea of a lake. And that is an hyperbole, because it's an obvious exaggeration. It's an over exaggeration of the truth. So the mirror is saying it's no longer a mirror, but it's a lake. And we know a mirror is something that is without depth. A mirror is something that is simple and something that is rounded or squared. To show its simplicity. But when we think of a lake is something wide and something vast, something that's deep, right? So it's going to be a hyperbole to actually, well, for the exaggeration there, for the mirror to say it is a lake. And this shows again that the mirror somewhat thinks it is deep. The mirror thinks that it has a great truth to tell, and the truth is not just in what you see, but the truth is how we interpret it. A woman bends over me, a woman, it says a woman, not a girl, searching my reaches for what she really is. So it's saying that this woman now is looking at this mirror for validation. She's looking at the mirror, which is now the lake, for a sense. And again, what does the mirror and the lake have in common? The mirror and the lake have a reflection in common, right? They're going to both form a reflection, and those reflections will tell us who the person is that is looking into it, right? So that is what that's what they have in common. We're going on now to say this woman is bending down there, looking at this lake for her reflection to see who she really is. She's looking for validation. She's looking for the lake to say exactly what she has become with her life, or what she has become in life, and that there is seeking to build her confidence. Then she turns to those liars, and we see a change in mood there. The candles or the moon. You know, when you're the image that is formed when you use a candle, or when you are on a moonlit night, is going to be different to when you look into a mirror. And that is what Sylvia is trying to hint to us here. And she's trying to say, and probably comparing people to candles and moon. And she's telling us that what we see in our mirrors is actually a reflection of who we are, exactly who we are. So I am looking in the mirror, I'm seeing somebody tall, dark, and very handsome. That is me. Yeah. And that is what the mirror is telling me. But if I am to listen to the words of someone else, they may think, you know what, you're a little too dark, or you're a little too brown, or you're a little too white, or your hair is too long, or your nose is too long, or your mouth is too big. So the mirror, she's trying to hint to us that the mirror is more to the truth than anyone else. And I hope you can get the idea of what I'm talking about from that. I see her back and reflected faithfully. Faithfully is very, very effective there because it tells us that the mirror is truthful. The mirror is going to do for you what you really are, and it's going to reflect really what you are to you, so you have the good idea or the good sense of exactly where you lie. She rewards me with tears. What is that saying? Saying that the mirror reflects that she looks ugly or she's probably aged. And that's where we see a change. She has aged. She's no longer a girl. The pink on her walls might probably be blue. The pink on her wall might now be a new color. She's no longer pure and innocent. And she's looking at the mirror for validation. She's looking at the mirror to say, you're still young. But no, the mirror said, you're aged. You have aged. You're now old. And as a result of that truthfulness, she's angry and she starts crying tears. All right? And when she starts crying now, this gives us the idea that the truth sometimes is indeed cruel. I hope you are seeing me going back on what the previous part is, because when you're writing, you don't just write stanza by stanza, you try to mix it up to make sense of what you're saying. She rewards me with tears and an agitation of hands. So what's that telling us? So when she looked into the lake and she see that she has aged, the image made her anxious. The image made her nervous. The image upset her. And she used the hands to unsettle the water, to splash the water so the image can go away. She doesn't want to be reminded of the truth. And that's the truth with people. People oftentimes don't want to be reminded of the truth because the truth can be horrible. Alright? I am important to her. She comes and goes. Again, I'm important to her. Again, that validation from that mirror. It's saying that she realized that the only person she can rely on is the mirror. To the mirror to tell her exactly who she is. And this is what is deep about Sylvia. She is trying to show us that really the only person we can rely on is ourselves. The only person we can rely on is ourselves. Because remember, the mirror is just an object. And really what we see tells us how or who we really are. Right? And that idea of who we are in our head should determine a lot of things about us. Remember, Sylvia had problems with depression. So, again, she is trying to show us that if we are seeing an ugly person in the mirror, if we are seeing an aged person in the mirror, that is who we have become. And now it's up to us to accept that person. It's up to us to acknowledge that person. It's up to us to live with that person. And if we don't live with that person, we can have issues. If we are not comfortable with the person we see that we have become, we can have issues in our lives. As a result, we can do many things. We can hurt ourselves. And please, please, suicide is never the answer. It is never the answer. If you have issues, you have problems, you need counseling, I'm sure there's a hotline for help in your area. Try and get that number. It's never the answer to hurt yourself or to cut yourself or anything of that sort. All that's going to do is to try and deflect some amount of pain into another position. But remember, if you hurt yourself, you're just going to transfer pain to someone else, especially if you die. And you don't want to do that. Don't be selfish. Don't. I often see suicide as a selfish thing. I don't want to try and downplay anyone that committed suicide because I lost a dear friend of mine as a result of suicide. So let's not downplay anyone. But again, there are other ways. There are other ways to solve your issues. There are other ways to solve whatever problems you are experiencing. Suicide is never and should never be the thought. And if it has ever been, you need some Jesus, all right? So go to church. Definitely. Good. We're going back to the poem now. Sorry about that little lecture there. Each morning, it is her face that replaces the darkness. So it's saying that in the bathroom, the first face the mirror sees in the morning is the face of the woman. And the woman is obviously important to the mirror as the mirror is to her. In me, she has drowned a little girl. I just love these two last lines. What's that telling us? It's telling us the mirror has been there for centuries, and that mirror there, well, not centuries literally, but the mirror has been there for a number of years. And every day, day after day, this girl, as she grows into a woman, is looking at her face in this mirror, and over time, that girl has been killed. That girl has now matured. That girl is gradually aging. Oh my God, that's beautiful writing. And really, sometimes there are many people who have issues with aging. But aging is a part of life. We cannot be adolescents all the time. We have to go into that senescence period. And really, it's a part of life. And we must be able to accept the processes that come with life. And some persons are not able to do that. And it's saying, in me, an old woman rises. So she's now old. She's no longer a girl. Remember, the girl died. The girl was killed. The girl was drowned in the mirror, right? And it's now what? A woman. An old woman. And she's rising up, meaning she's getting old day after day, right? Like a terrible fish. Oh my God. My skin is crawling with such good writing. That is an example of symbolism. Of course, there is a simile there. We can see that like there. So let's look at a simile first and then we come to that symbolism. Simile is comparing the idea of the terrible fish to this person the woman is seeing. So she's comparing being old to a terrible fish. That's a simile. If you want to write about that simile as your poetic device, you go ahead and write about that. But let's look at the more complex ones. Symbolism. Symbolism is where an object is used to mean something other than the typical meaning expressed. And we look at a fish here, and when we look at that fish, we're thinking about when a fish is brought up from water, how it gasps for air. And that is the idea that we are trying to be that is the idea that Sylvia is presenting to us. She's trying to show us that as we age, we're like fish out of water. And it's as though we are grasping for air, we are grasping for life, we are grasping for youth, all right? And we are, for some reason, not able to catch our breaths. We're not able to breathe that youthfulness. All right? And as a result, we age and we move on and we probably die. All right? That's the process of life. And so symbolism again is used there to show us that we are using the terrible fish idea to compare it to what? To aging process. We are using the idea of a fish to compare the aging process. Okay? And I just want to repeat what I'm saying in that last line there. The old woman is rising, and as she rose, as she got older, she's seeing herself as a terrible fish. She doesn't like that image at all. She doesn't like the fact that she's old. So what did she do? She splashed water all over the place. So she's obviously hurt by what she saw, and she is saddened by what she saw. As a result of not grasping or not catching her breath or her breath of youthfulness, she is depressed. We must be able to accept life. We must be able to accept that life is a season and everything, there's a time for everything. There's a time to be young and there's a time to be aged. Hopefully, anyway, good. That's all for that poem there. The poem Mirror, recapping, shows us that we can only rely on what we see in ourselves as the truth. It shows us that life is a process. It shows that it's a period of youthfulness and a period of aging. We might not accept the aging process, but it is one of the fundamental realities of life and a reality that we have to live with. And if we choose not to live with it, if we choose not to accept it, it will be a very depressing period for us. We can compare this poem Mirror by Sylvia Plath under the themes aging, loss of beauty, death, and also feminism. I like my British style of things, so I will use AGEING and not AGIING like our American and Australian friends may use. Thank you very much. That's all the time we have today. Go ahead and like this, comment, let me know what you think of the review, tell me what you want to hear next as well, and go ahead and subscribe so you can get updates on those future postings. The reading again was done by my friend Sherice and Blair from Jamaica. Thank you very much, Sherice. I do appreciate it. My friend Shimune, I think it is Shimune Adams from Grenada suggested that I start, a parent actually, suggested that I start a GoFundMe account. I will consider that, and as soon as I am done with that account, a link of it will be in all of my videos. A link to that account will be in all of my videos, so you can go ahead and make your contributions to the channel. All right, thank you very much. Goodbye.